Hello, hello, hello. This is Els coming to you from Bima's Crafty Corner. Um, like it says in the title, today we're going to be talking about an embossing technique uh, on the cheap. I see people go out all the time and they're obsessed with what is the newest thing. They buy whatever comes down the pipe and it's the latest and greatest thing. And sometimes it's just, recycled stuff. And sometimes it is just what I call the Veruca syndrome. I want it and I want it now, Daddy. So I see people go out and they buy embossing powders. And they have 14 shades of blue and 25 shades of red. Then they go out and they buy ink and they buy 14 shades of blue ink and 25 shades of red ink. And you don't need to do that. Most pigment inks, when they go on the paper, are just as sticky and will work as an embossing ink. So if you just put clear powder on them, they emboss in whatever color they are. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that today. So hold on while I put you up on the boom and get out some ink and some embossing powder and some paper, and we'll get started. Hold on. Okay. So I got you up on the boom. We are ready to go. All right. So let's prep ourselves. Little piece of paper. Some embossing powder. Here we go. So I went out and I spent the money and I got this. The Recollections Clear Ink, specifically for embossing. And I'll be honest, it didn't give me the look that I wanted. It left holes, it was splotchy, and I needed to have some color of embossing powder to make it work. I quickly figured out that this was going to cost me a fortune. So, all right, we have an assortment of inks. Now, I've tried the Delusions. It doesn't work. I've tried Stamping Up. This one doesn't work. Hampton Art, it's kind of a hit or miss. I've never tried Close to My Heart. I've never tried the Memento. I've never tried the Color Box. And I have tried Colorworks. This is my favorite for this particular way of doing it. The other one that I do recommend is this. This is the Vibrance. This is acid-free archival pigment ink. Water-based dye ink. Oh, let's see. Rich Cocoa Dewdrop. It doesn't say. Oh, there we go. Fade-resistant dye ink. And opaque pigment stamp pad. So, let's give these a try. Now this is just a plain piece of Neenah cardstock. I'm using woodblock stamps because they're easier to clean, and I picked out these two for no reason other than they have a nice big surface to look at. So, here I have clear embossing powder. Let's open up the dewdrop. Let's ink up the stamp. Stamp the stamp. Put a little embossing powder on there. Clean the stamp. Okay. Now, just gonna take that off. Now already I can see that this is dull, which means the embossing powder stuck to it. So we're gonna heat this up, and here we go. Okay, it's starting. Here we go. There we go. You can see it's embossed. Can you see that? That's embossed. Okay, so that was the Memento Dewdrop. So let's take a look at the Close to My Heart brand. Open this little up. Get our stamp. Hit it a couple of times. Get some ink on there. Stamp it down. Pop on some embossing powder. Close up the ink. Clean the stamp. Alright, let's dump the embossing powder on the paper. Again, this is dull. Dull is a good sign. So let's start heating this up. Starting to come out now. You can see it embossing. There you go. So that is the Close to My Heart. So this is a yes. We know it works. All right. We're 2 for 2, guys. 2 for 2. Now we'll get into some of the less expensive ones. Let's try the Colorworks. Again, ink it up. Stamp it down. Closing up my ink. What a mess this is. All right. Embossing powder. Cleaning stamp. Drying stamp. Dumping embossing powder onto scrap paper. It's dull. Now you'll notice that I have not used an embossing buddy once. I did not pre-embossing buddy the paper. I don't do it. And I've never had a problem. There we go. Look at that. Glimmer, 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 glimmer. Do you see all that shine? That's embossing. Okay. And that was the Colorworks. All right. What should we try next? Ooh. Let's do the cheap one. Let's do Vibrance. All right, so this is the, dollar spot one from Michaels. We're just gonna put some ink on the pad there. Push it down on the paper. Close up the color. All right. Some embossing powder. Clean stamp, dry stamp, bring stamp back. Okay. Drop off powder. Heat tool. Watch, watch, watch. Do we see that? That's embossed. So that was the $2 Vibrance. Okay, which leaves us the color box. All right. One mermaid in Technicolor. Putting her down on the paper, closing up the ink, give her a good press, let that ink soak in. Embossing powder, cleaning stamp, drying stamp, dumping off embossing powder. Ooh, she looks kind of dull. Let's see if we can liven her up. Ooh. Ah. So that's the color box. All of these dyes, all of these inks, embossed. No problem. One embossing powder. Now, just for the argument, we're going to do one more. We're going to use an ink that we know works. And this time we're going to use the Glitz. Okay? So let's take our little unicorn stamp, ink it up, put it on, open up our Glitz, pour the Glitz on, clean up the stamp. All right. All right. Ready? Here we go. And there it is. Now that I've embossed it, take my brush and just kind of clean off any powder that's around it, because there was nothing for that powder to stick to, so it didn't emboss. There we go. So this is the Glitz, and these are all clear. And they're all embossed. So that's what it takes. Clear powder, the Glitz the Glitz powder. Say that 4 times real fast. That's pretty much what I have for you today. I'll be honest, not every ink works. You have to try it. It's trial and error. But for the most part, seems to me that the cheaper inks, the pigment inks, the lower, less expensive inks work just fine. And that means that every ink that I own is basically an embossing powder. So I hope you give it a try. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, ring my bell, pass me around the internet, whatever you want to do with Bima. And don't spend your hard-earned money, folks. Until I see you again, thanks for stopping by. You have a great day. Bye-bye now.